In 2018, Stuckey Company is celebrating 27 years as an MGA, offering our agents access to solid A-rated carriers like the Hartford. We have 9 specialty programs, and we offer what's called a 151 promise. So if an account or a service request is in by 1, we get it out by 5. If it's in by 5, we get it out by 1 the next day. Sometimes that will not be applicable to larger accounts, but we will strive to get an answer on the eligibility of it, even in that time period. So Stuckey Company, we do everything you would expect an MGA to do. We create the programs, underwrite to the program, rate, quote, bind. We issue the policies in-house, endorse, renew, invoice, report to the carriers and to our agents. We integrate with the carriers and our agents. Sometimes we do the claims, but most of the time those are handled through the insurance carrier. And we market and train our agents on all of our programs. These are 8 of the programs: Safety Tech for the technology industry, Aspire A&E for architects and engineers, Harbor Guard for marinas and boat dealerships. We have about 350 different miscellaneous professional liability classes. We do some green energy through a program called Element. We do home, auto, boat, and high-value home through our personal lines department. And we do BOP, comp, auto, bonds, EPLI, D&O, all that stuff through our commercial lines. If it falls outside of the commercial lines department, we have a surplus lines department. One of the carriers is actually a carrier that is owned by the Hartford called Maxim, that they purchased about a year ago, I would say. So next, I'd like to thank Brett Barden, Executive Team Lead for the Hartford Middle Market, and Tyler Bechtold, Business Development Representative, for presenting and making themselves available for questions during and after the webinar on the product and support options that the Hartford brings to the table. So let me set this up. Okay.
First, thanks, Dwight, for having me out. You and I talked a couple months ago. I think that was the kind of the brainchild is what we're going to see here today on how we can try to grow this. Just so everyone on the line knows, Stuckey's a top partner for us, especially, well, pretty much essentially in the small commercial area right now. So this is a growth opportunity for all of us and something we're all really looking forward to. It's the first time we're kind of putting the muscle behind it. So I'm personally very excited. As Dwight said, my name is Brett Barden. I'm the Executive Team Lead for Hartford Middle Market Underwriting here in St. Louis. My responsibilities include St. Louis, Southern Illinois, and the great states of Iowa and Nebraska. So I have 3 underwriters that assist me with that, and I lead the team currently. I'm the direct underwriter for Stuckey still, so I have a little bit of a dual role. So I would be the person underwriting any file you would send to Dwight. If you're looking from a line of business perspective, what we're talking about today, think commercial package, work comp, commercial auto, umbrella, and then we'll tack on a few other things as we go throughout the PowerPoint. If there are questions, please feel free to stop me. Very open, want it to be an open forum, and definitely open to any communication or collaboration anyone would want to add to anything. So as we move in, first I want to touch on something Dwight started with before I get into the slide, that the 151 promise, which I think is a wonderful thing and a great thing that they do here. Obviously not going to work for us in those same terms of turning around the quote, but what we can commit to, and what I hope Dwight and Carrie and the team would say, is that you'll have an answer whether we want to go after it and a plan of action in that same time frame. So we'll get back to you, we'll say, here's what we want to do, here's the best way to attack this, A middle market submission can take anywhere from 2 weeks to a couple months, depending on the complexity and different things that can happen. So definitely let me know if you have any questions on that, again, as we go along, time frames, things like that. So jumping right in, this is a great slide that our head of middle market uses in any presentation that he does, and it's kind of what did Hartford want to do in 2018? And really, the two words are right up there. If you look at that first sentence, efficiency and expertise. We realize in today's world, speed to market and being able to turn things around faster is really a key. So we've done both internal and external work to make that happen. And then expertise is something I'll get down to in here just a minute. But what we're trying to do is really put some muscle behind our underwriting team. We are tasked with knowing a little bit about a lot of things. If you think about the different lines of business and classes of business that we underwrite. So doing that, we'll jump right into the left there. And what we did was create industry specialization. What does that mean? Basically, what we've done internally is create a team of about 5 or 6 people per industry. So think those 3 right there: real estate, private equity-backed business, and manufacturing. So we have a team behind us that specializes in nothing but that. So when we need help, or we need new marketing, or we need a new form, we've got a team that's tasked just to do that, and a team that ultimately is responsibility and how they're graded is on the performance of those books. So that's a really good change for us. It should be really helpful in terms of navigating the market quickly and, quite frankly, responding to new market trends as those come up. We've added a lot of different bolt-on appetite and product lines, as we'll go through some, but the ones you see there, pollution legal, something we've never had. I think AIG corners the market on that right now. That's going to be coming out early 2019. We have a team based out of Boston. So it'll probably be 4 or 5 people that are going to underwrite that specifically for us. Construction property practice. Right now we do all of our property for our construction department through marine. So what we're trying to do is free up our marine counterparts to do more of that. And we're going to create a people just doing construction property because it is very unique. And then life science, something we currently do out of our technology department. We are going to move into a full-blown life science practice. One thing that's not in this PowerPoint, because we're not allowed to say much now, is a lot of you might have heard we are buying Navigators, which has a $65 to $70 million life science practice countrywide. That'll add a lot of muscle to us, a lot of knowledge. We did hire a new head of that department coming in, so that'll do a lot for us. 2 unique service offerings we will cover in a lot more detail as we go through this is our risk engineering and claims. So keep that on the back burner. As you move through the middle there, property, GL, umbrella, we have been seen too much as a work comp carrier in the past. We are trying to move quicker and get deeper into our package line. So we hired a specific role to be our head of umbrella, head of general liability, and head of property. So we are really moving toward that right now. We are trying to get deeper there and really trying to move deeper in those places. Similar things there on the right. The biggest, like I already touched on, simplified underwriting process. That really speaks to speed to market. How do we get out things quicker? Improved use of data. I think that's a big thing that Hartford's pushing for right now. If anybody heard or has seen it, we bought Aetna's group benefits practice. So we're now the #2 group benefits carrier in the country. We're the #2 work comp carrier in the country. What does that mean to you? It means we have more data about injured workers than anywhere else in the industry, bar none, which means we can execute claims better. We know how long people tend to be out, and we can take action on claims quicker, we think, than anyone else in the industry. So here's kind of, not a specific top 10, but you see our target industries across the left side of your screen there. And again, we will send this out. I wanted to hit on a couple and a few notes that I think are really helpful here. Construction, technology, and energy are currently done out of specialty teams. Energy is one that you'll probably hear more about come 2019. Right now it is reserved for Texas, Oregon, and Minnesota only. So think about your oil production states. But we are going to be getting into that. It won't be over the whole. It'll be mostly midstream work. But that will be coming. It's headed up by Rick Pena. Came over from Zurich about 2 years ago. So we really invested there. Hope to see that really start turning around. And already you can see in our Houston and Dallas offices doing that. A couple other notes on education. That is private education mostly only. So if you're thinking about public ed, we only do property and work comp. We will not do GL umbrella or any professional lines there. I kind of highlighted, if you want to pick a top 3, it would be our manufacturing, real estate, and healthcare. Those are the 3 places that probably a good 75 to 80% of our business is going to fall. And that makes sense when you start thinking about middle market, where that business tends to fall. If you move to the right side of the page, these are really specialized things that we've either come out with or revamped in the last couple of years. There are 3 that I would like to point out. Large property, and Dwight and I were kind of discussing before the meeting, about 2 years ago, we decided to open up a large property practice. It was strictly for public entity, 400 million and above. With the success of that, they are going to be moving down, doing a lot of our work, anything above 250 million in TIV, and then any public entity above 200 million. That form should mirror and compete with any of your large property carriers you may work with or seen in the market, affiliated, FM, and AIG. Multinational, we'll talk about on the next slide, but a lot of good things happening there and a lot of exciting things happening there. A big one, and one thing that's really grown for Hartford is this bottom right thing where it says tough risks. It's a department we call, excuse me, specialty GL. Think about risks that would generally go wholesale or not admitted. That is admitted Hartford paper, underwritten as if a wholesaler would be placing it. So think about retention-based business, severity-driven, large pops. You're looking at a $20,000 minimum premium. Generally, though, they're playing in that $250,000 GL range. The great news about that is if you write that business with us and then the rest of the lines with me, you've got one bill, one carrier, one claims department, one engineering department, and all of the good things that come with placing your business in one spot. Any questions yet? Anything pop up yet?
Is there a minimum premium for access to the standard Hartford middle market?
So no, there is not. And actually, sorry, we were going to touch on this. Do you have that small commercial flyer you were talking about?
Yeah, that's
Let's bring that up. It's a great question. There is, other carriers that do middle market business based on premium size. We do not do it that way. We do it all based on exposure. And we'll send this out, I'm assuming, with the follow-up notes. This is our small commercial appetite. So this is the businesses that we sit over the top of. Anything that goes above this is middle market, all the way to loss sensitive. So anything guaranteed cost above this would sit middle market.
So it's you generally play in the $50,000 premium to $2 million, for example.
That's generally where you see most of our business. Sweet spot, Dwight, 250 to 500.
Okay. Right on, and I will include this. These are the new definitions that Hartford just put out.
Yeah. All right, so like I said on the last slide, Multinational is our international product. It's something we've been working on since 2015, really. We took our time. We wanted to make sure we did it right. So when we came out with it, we used to be partnered with ACE. It became kind of one of those, why are we placing business with a carrier that we compete with on other business? So we built up our own multinational product. So this is all done through myself. So it all still comes through your local underwriter here. And really what it's done there is that first bullet's what it's all about. Better addresses a customer need. Dwight and I were talking before the meeting that we think this is this, and I would say along with financial lines, are things that people don't buy that they really need, and there's a large coverage gap. So what we're trying to do is fill it as easy as possible. Back to the SGL discussion of one carrier. Now you don't have to have Hartford package and go to ACE or go to Chubb. If you look, they're kind of in the middle. How did we pull this off? We partnered with AXA. They are our locally admitted placer in over 150 countries, and we'll show the map here in a second. How that basically works is at Hartford, we write the main controlled master. Then we use AXA to place locally admitted. We also have what we call passport and exporters policies that we'll go through. And I think that's more where you're going to see a lot of success coming out of this program. Multinational is our main growth item for 2019. I would think that it's going to account for 20 to 25% of our written business in middle market next year. Like I said, here is the grand map of where we can place business. I want to make a caveat here. With AXA buying direct competitor of ours, I'm not sure how public that is, so I won't say who it is. We are going to build this out on our own. So you will soon have Hartford placing Hartford policies in all 150 of these countries. Not sure when that's going to be, but it will happen. But as you can see, we have covered the greater part of the globe. We don't do anything on the U.S. travel warning list. That's mostly what's not there. And then, generally where we saw that we didn't need it. This was all driven, and we obviously had to pay for each one of these countries based on where we thought the business we were getting, based on our relationship with ACE, would be placed. So here's the 4 product lines that we currently write in multinational, and what I'd really like to focus on there is the left side of the page. So we have 2 different options there. Both would be underwritten here by myself, so it's really fast. It doesn't add anything to the timeline for a middle market account. A passport package is basically for sales trips, marketing trips, anything like that overseas. Get you GL if you break something, auto if you rent a car, workers' comp while you're over there, some limited property coverage. It's up to $300,000, but then it's sub-limited to $25,000 for electronics. Travel support services, business travel accident, which also includes business health, and then kidnap and ransom. So that's really basic. Go overseas, that's a $2,000 minimum premium. Exporters is all of that and includes cargo and product liability, basically meaning you're now shipping your goods overseas to be sold. It only goes up $500, so that's a $2,500 minimum premium, and generally no more than $4,000. The 2 on the right, much more involved placements. That's that controlled master and locally admitted policies. That's probably more of a one-off and more of a discussion we can have when you have one of those accounts, and we'll get our multinational team involved. Question or keep moving?
No.
Good. All right. So the two other things I really wanted to cover today are our 2 main service offerings at Hartford and what we think we bring to the table that is different in those areas. So our head of claims, his name is John Kinney, wants to be the best, strives to be the best, and won't stop till he is the best. I think that's the...
I will say he is the best and most passionate.
Oh, most passionate is for sure.
Really cool to see.
And if you see that 4.8 star there, that's not something we pull on the back. That's straight from our claims website. You can go to thehartford.com/claims and give us a review on anything. So to say you're an insurance carrier, and that's personal, that's every line of business. That's not just commercial. To say you're an insurance carrier and you get a 4.8 star rating on your own website, that means something to us, and that's something we strive to keep high. A couple
I just wanted to add, John has a YouTube channel, and he has a series of videos that he does on the claims. I think it's called like a 1 minute claim or something, 1 minute.
The Kenny Minute.
Kenny Minute. That's right. All right. So I will definitely add that to the follow-up material because it's really a cool channel, YouTube channel to follow. He talks about all kinds of statistics and the data scientists that he has and how that all kind of comes together to save the customer money.
Exactly. And we'll talk through a few of those things as well. And, John as a guy is so interesting because he's about as real as you can get of an insurance executive that I've ever met. If you met him, you would think he was just any old guy, but he's the head of claims for a national carrier. So great guy. Absolutely, those videos are great. So thanks for that, Dwight. A couple of things I put on here. That first bullet, knowing that we have people from around the country on the call. If you think about where we're at right now with hurricanes and the unfortunate trend we've had in the last 3 years, we built 2 claims RVs that anytime there is a disaster, we drive a team of people down, and it is open to any of our insureds. They get free Wi-Fi, hot and cold drinks, and the ability to report their claim on site. So, if you think about a small business and all the way up to a middle market business, not being able to access anything, having their power down, everything, we show up and give them a way to pay their bills, check their orders, everything, kind of run their business for an hour. That's something special we do. There's no charge for that. This is something we do for our insureds. All you need to know is your policy number. The next three bullets kind of go together. I'll start at the bottom. John, when he came on, John Kinney again, saw a big void in our claims department was we don't have anybody with a medical degree of any kind in this department. That was, 8 years ago, he became head of claims. He now has 220 clinically trained medical staff members, and those are anywhere from, basic nursing type all the way up to surgeon generals of a few different states. So we've got some very experienced people on this panel. What that means and what we use that for is one, we use our nurses to review every single lost time claim. Every single one. We save on average, based on that review, 60% on every medical bill we end up paying. Okay? That's huge. You think about experience mods, you think about overall insurance costs, that's huge to save that. And that's not counting in our discounts. So we have discounts with providers that everybody else has. That's strictly, we get a bill from a provider, we shoot it back and say, on average, it should be 60% less. That's powerful. And that's the data that we have. One of those medical professionals will work on 90% of our medically complex claims. What that means is something that is lost time, amputations, larger surgeries. A lot of times they'll be on site for a lot of the doctor appointments. We fly people all over the country to do that. The stat we don't have there is that saves an additional 10% off the top using that as well. So we're talking anywhere 60 to 70% we can save a work comp client just based on our experience there. Anything there?
Well, another question about the minimum premiums. And I'm not sure if it's minimum premiums to access the claims service that the Hartford has. I'll start by answering first. Hartford Small Commercial has, I think for general liability only, a $350 minimum premium, and for a package, property and general liability of $500. Even those small accounts from the $500 minimum premium up to the middle market 50,000, even those guys still get the same claims service that the Hartford provides, even their most complex risks like Amazon, for example. So $500 or $350 on the small commercial side. We talked about the minimum premiums for middle market being well, you really don't have a minimum, but it ends up being 50,000 to about 2 million on the top side, and we are most competitive from about 250 to 500,000.
Exactly. So yeah, there's absolutely no difference. I'll tell a story I actually just heard. I was in Dallas yesterday and Tuesday for just some management meetings, and one of our title is claims agency executive, something like. Have you ever talked to Josh Wilcox?
I have.
So Josh is.
These are claims.
Yeah, so he's basically Stuckey's claims liaison for Hartford. It was his counterpart, and we just settled a claim for $0 paid, but we litigated it to a $14 million in expense. GL outside the limit, $14 million, $350. So it doesn't matter to Hartford what you pay us. What matters is that you're our customer. That's what matters to us. Because every business and every business owner, we know that is your livelihood. That is what you go home to feed your family, to feed, everything that you do as a person comes out of that business. So it is our responsibility and quite frankly, our right to defend you in those situations. So no, you get the exact same. This slide here is everyone. That's not to say there is not additional benefits to bigger clients, and we'll talk about some of those coming up. And that's not because we think there's, again, that's not to say that smaller clients aren't important. It's basically to say once the complexity of an account goes up, we need to make sure we have more people on board ready to help out. So we'll talk about those things. But in terms of the medical reviews, our legal team, everything like that comes with it, every one of our insureds has that benefit.
Right. And I think it's really a differentiator on the larger accounts to have that claims liaison as part of your team.
Absolutely.
When you go into a $500,000 premium account.
And we'll talk about that here next. So once you start growing into the middle market space of accounts, we used to only have one service. It was 400,000 and above, and that role is called a claims account executive. What that is your insured's Hartford liaison to claims. Whereas we mentioned the name Josh Wilcox, that's Stuckey's advisor. That would be a person that does 2 claims reviews a year. Is the in person, comes and meets with the insured. Is their beck and call for any claims related issue, and helps them on board, helps them submit claims, everything down the line. The problem with that is there's a major gap from about 100,000 to that 400,000, where there are some very complex accounts and some very frequency driven accounts that are still profitable, but need some type of service to help them. So what we came up with for our VIPs and top partners was this new role called Claims Advisor. It is a telephonic role. It is from $1 to $399,999 in premium. And it sort of mirrors what we just went through right there, except telephonically. So they'll get involved pre-sale for you. They will make a call on your behalf. So basically what they'll do is say, I'm calling on behalf of Hartford and Stuckey Company. My name is, it will probably be Carla Horta. We will walk through our claims offering. They will walk through everything that we've talked about here in terms of nurse case management, what their role will be. After issuance, they'll do a 7-day. Within 7 days, they'll do an onboarding call, basically how you submit claims. Let's get you set up in the system. Let's make sure that the right people are aware of how to do everything. 120 days, they'll check in. How are things going? Everything okay? 90 days pre-renewal, another check-in. How you doing? Everything okay? This is, continued circle of service for the rest of the time they're with Hartford. This is something special you get as a member with Stuckey Company. This is not available to all agencies, so their relationships with small commercial is what drives this. We've seen an uptick of 15% in our hit ratio and then 7% in our retention with these individuals involved. So this is powerful. This is something that can help you retain a client when that other broker comes knocking at the door, knowing that you have this in your pocket that they might not have. All right. So this is my last slide. It's our second, service area, if you will. And, risk engineering is what we're calling this here. It's what normally is referred to as loss control. We didn't like the way that sounded. We wanted it to be more of a partnership. Our engineers are really there to help the insured, be his advisor, and really benefit their business. So, this is one new thing that we'll talk about here, this ergonomics practice, but I want to kind of talk through this whole process. So what we generally like to do on a middle market size business is a pre-quote survey. It usually takes about 2 hours. Our engineer will meet with the insured, hopefully a risk manager, head of HR, CFO, sit down with them, talk through the entire organization, operations, tour the facility, and get a taste for really what they do. What's going to come out of that meeting is, how can Hartford help me improve my business? How can they make me operationally better and getting back to that word efficiency? Because that's what we're looking for our clients as well. Case in point, we talked about data. We found when we put that Aetna data into our system, 52% of all work-related musculoskeletal disorders, okay? If you'd have asked me 2 years ago, I would have said that's probably lifting injuries. It's not. It's ergonomic injuries, which means sitting at your desk typing or doing one thing over and over and over, causing a repetitive motion injury to your wrists, hands, back, knees. So what do? We went out, developed our own training program, and uses OSHA's Certified Ergonomics Training Program. And we're actually certifying our engineers in this program, not all of them. We have about 12 of them throughout the country. What that person can do for middle market insured is come in, evaluate the entire risk from an ergonomic perspective, design workspaces. We have discounts now with Cruise for Shoes, which is one thing we started doing this year because we noticed that too for knees and backs. And then also we'll do a 6-month checkup afterwards to see how things are going. That's really what this whole slide is saying there. And again, if your ergonomics are set up right, your insured's losses should go down somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% for muscular injuries that tend to be the ones that keep people out of work for a long time, tend to be the ones that cause your loss of time payments, and those are the ones that really hit that experience line, really hit that profitability of the account. So this is one good example of what we did. There's a lot of this going on, and I think anybody that would sit through our risk engineering visits would be really impressed.
Awesome, and I think I can include this in the follow-up material as well.
Absolutely.
Which I think is a great way to get the conversation started about really how the Hartford helps save the customer money.
Right. So that is really what I wanted to present today, what I wanted to go through. So I'd love any questions or comments, anything that we can answer today. So just a few questions. I know we're 8 minutes over, but we kind of had a false start there where people couldn't hear us. What Thad says, Kenny Bennett. So I will include that on the follow-up this afternoon. It is a chalk talk. If you've ever seen a chalk talk, that's really what it's based on. So it's John talking and then things going on behind him that give you a good snapshot of how we use data.
Yeah, it is really cool, and it's a YouTube video based and deal. And you can share those with your customers as well.
You can. They are external.
The next one is, can we get a detailed guideline for property appetite?
Sure.
And we'll do a couple things there. I'll send out the small commercial thresholds. Those classes mirror the classes in middle market fairly well. But I think it also gives some additional information. Then we have the specialty industries that we talked about, and maybe I can send something on that,
Sure.
giving those industries. And, you know, I think there's a slide there, but the types of coverage that you give
Mhm.
is very broad, right? You're a very deep risk player.
Mhm.
We talked about comp a couple times with the claims.
Yep.
But you also do commercial auto. We don't do transportation, and monoline auto may be a challenge with the Hartford, but we can do package,
Mhm.
bonds,
Bonds.
international, professional,
Mhm.
product recall with the manufacturer's E&O.
Mhm.
Can you think of any other coverage I missed?
So, I think one thing, I kind of briefly touched on it, that I think is a miss a lot of times, and you and I have discussed it before, is financial products with D&O, E&O, EPL, all those things. That's a major growth area for us. We've reassigned it to our specialty department leader so that he could lead that into the future. That's an area that's only going to grow. That's an area that claims are only going to grow. We were joking before everybody came in about Multinational is such a great product, and it's very profitable as well, because the litigation in other countries isn't the same. In the United States, the suits brought for employment practices are absolutely getting out of hand to where insurers really need to be covered there. And that's a great follow-up and a great thing that, I think could be explored further. And we have a specialty department that does it.
Right, and it's not included as part of the package like the Hartford small commercial.
No, it is not. That is a separate department. Once you get into middle market, you really need to get deep into EPL, because you could be talking 200 to several thousand employees, and you get less of an if bet, but a when bet you're going to have claims, and you need that specialized underwriter.
Right. All right, well, man, Brett, I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Coming in and showing us, basically the support you guys give us and therefore our agents in the middle market space. I promised I was going to say something about the 151 promise. We do have gift cards. We have $25 gift cards, and it's not much, but we'll get you a cup of coffee. Any submission, we don't have to write it, that qualifies for the Hartford middle market. We're going to send you a gift card along with a thank you card. But again, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate everybody's time for coming and spending time with us on the middle market support. Thank you.